boxing, baseball, NBA, NFL, country music concerts, hard rock, hip-hop, theater, Broadway. He's got them all. And if he don't have them, there ain't none. I'm telling you. SmoothTickets.com. Once again, that's SmoothTickets.com, or give him a call at 404-374-1150. Once again, that's 404-374-1150. You got to tell him, though, that I sent you. You got to tell him that Doug Stewart sent you. Once again, SmoothTickets.com. That's SmoothTickets.com. Yeah!
The Sleeper Pick, the guy only you believe in. In 1 week fantasy football on DraftKings, he can be the difference. So trust your gut. Trust your numbers. Trust your Uncle Vito if you want. But know this, that sleeper is out there. The question is, who's going to play him? This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time.
To create your account, click on the banner link on the DougStewartShow.com or the Doug Stewart Show app. There's a storm coming! Ha ha! A firestorm. Get ready to raise your game because watching sports will never be the same. Introducing FireFan. It's a game changer. Finally, a sports app that puts you into the game. You predict the scores, you call the plays in real time while you watch and compete against sports heroes, celebrities, friends, family, or other die-hard fans. The more you call it, the more points you can achieve. Also, be a loyal fan and earn loyalty rewards. Don't miss the hottest app of the year. FireFan, ignite your passion. Yeah! Yes, sir. Yeah. Register now at firefan.com today. Enter player rewards code TDSS. That's player rewards TDSS. Play the game, fan the fire, earn rewards. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. Sound like this Panda song. Panda, Panda.
I got so many feelings, I might can't never go to Canada. But Drake said he gon' put some screens, so let me check my calendar. I just popped me one of them virtual colors and it boosted my stamina.
Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. Throwback Thursday. Recapping 2016, man. 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougsstewartshow.com. Former Falcons wide receiver Brian Finneran, a broadcaster on a local radio station, man, has been talking about invited guest lists for former players of the regular season, for the regular season finale at the Georgia Dome. If you didn't know it and you don't live in Atlanta, I got to remember everybody listening to the show doesn't live in Atlanta. But this weekend is the last game at the Georgia Dome. That's right. They're building a new stadium, and it'll be ready next season, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think it is. And so this weekend, this Sunday is the last game of the Georgia Dome. Then on top of that, they're taking on the New Orleans Saints, which is, pretty much their rival. It's pretty big, news. So they're inviting back a bunch of players that have played in the past, I guess the legendary players or whatever. The Falcons at 10-5 are set to play the Saints, who are 7-8, at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. The team acknowledged that there will be a list or a ceremony, but does not plan to release a list of the invited players, which will probably, and what Finneran's been talking about is likely to include none other than Michael Vick. Yeah. So that's going to be kind of interesting. And now Vick has already been back when he played with the Philadelphia Eagles. I remember that. He came back with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I can't remember exactly what he did, how good he did, or whatever. But he's been back as a player. But I guess to come back to the Georgia Dome, not as a player, and I guess maybe they'll introduce these cats at halftime or something like that. It's going to be very interesting to see the reaction from the crowd, because let me tell you this. If you don't live here, and people that live here can attest to this. The city is still super, super divided about Mike Vick and his legacy here and all of the things that happened with the dog fighting and this, that, and the other. Like, you can go to the Georgia Dome any weekend when the Falcons play at home, and you'll see not as many as you did like the first couple of years after Vick went to jail, but you'll still see Mike Vick jerseys. You'll still see Mike Vick jerseys, sprinkled throughout the crowd, throughout the tailgaters. And so, once again, I always tell people that there's been some good times. There's been a lot of bad times as fans of the Falcons. And going to the Georgia Dome, I've been in Atlanta for 21 years. This is like my 21st year in the city. So I've been to a ton of Falcons games, tailgated. We've tailgated for like 15 years straight. We haven't missed a tailgate. The Two Live Stews tailgated at the Georgia Dome not one weekend, in 15 years in some capacity or other. Sometimes it's super big at the start of the season when everybody believes you got a chance, and then it dwindles down when the weather gets worse and the team starts losing. But we've had some semblance of a tailgate every weekend for like the last 14, 15 years. There has never been a time in all my times down at the Georgia Dome, man, there's never been a more exciting time than when Michael Vick played for this team. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. Okay? I mean, it's not even close. Like, the Georgia Dome when Vick was here was basically like a festival or like a more controlled Freaknik or something like that. Yeah. Right. I mean, it was a festival-like atmosphere. And you know why? You listen to the Doug Stewart Show. First of all, you go back to the beginning, man. Like, I remember like it was yesterday when the draft that year, when they drafted Vick. I remember like it was yesterday, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, and I'm reminiscing here or whatever, okay? I remember when the draft, when Vick came out, like, you watch the pre-draft, and they start talking about, what teams might make. You got Mel Kiper, and you got Chris Berman or whatever, and they talk about the draft. And then, like, all of a sudden, they got, like, breaking news, and somebody handed Berman, like, a note. And Berman was like, wait a minute. We've got breaking news here. The Atlanta Falcons have traded up with the San Diego Chargers. And so the Atlanta Falcons now have the number one pick in the draft, and everybody's speculating, this is Chris Berman, everybody's speculating that the Falcons will take Mike Vick. We were like, what? Wait a minute. Yeah. Wait a minute. And because the Falcons never really did anything like that. And they went on to draft Vick, man, and just a very exciting player. Like, the Falcons, the team, wasn't that good for a lot of years. They had, like, good years, then they'd have a bad year. Then they'd have a good year, then they'd have a bad year with Vick. And so even though they didn't win a lot of games, they didn't win a Super Bowl or anything like that, they did have a lot of success, went to the NFC Championship game, or beat Green Bay in Green Bay, played Philadelphia the last game at the Veterans Stadium. And the thing about it was, each and every week, whether the team lost or not, you knew that you might see something that was just extraordinary, that you never saw before out of the quarterback position. And this is what I was talking about the other day. When you look at these dual-threat quarterbacks today, the reason why these dual-threat quarterbacks are thriving and the reason why they're getting opportunities is because of Vick. Now, you can talk about how good or bad of a quarterback he was, but as far as a legacy, it's these dual-threat quarterbacks. It is. Like, all of these kids that are playing now, or these young men that are playing now, they grew up idolizing Mike Vick. Mike Vick was, like, probably the biggest name in football. They probably placed Peyton Manning alongside of him and Tom Brady, those types of guys or whatever. But Vick definitely was in the discussion as far as most popular, player in the NFL. And a lot of people won't bring that up. A lot of people don't want to talk about that because a lot of people, frankly, hate Mike Vick's guts for what he, was a part of and what he went to jail for. And I'm not going to even get into none of that. I'm just talking about the player and what he was in the city. So it's going to be very interesting to see this weekend, if they introduce Mike Vick and he walks out to the center of the field, it's going to be very, very, very interesting. Yeah. And once again, I'm not talking about Mike Vick and, the dog fighting and him going to jail for like almost 2 years. I'm talking about his impact on the city and on the franchise and the fans in this city. And I said this yesterday, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Atlanta's a black city. I mean, as far as, who's in charge, the movers, the shakers, more so probably than any other city in this country. I don't know, maybe Detroit, maybe D.C. or whatever have more of a bigger influence and impact on the city as far as black people. But this is a black city, and Mike Vick was that dude. Love him or hate him. I mean, you have to acknowledge, if you ask about who was the most popular players in Atlanta Falcons history, I think it would come down to Deion Sanders. It'd probably come down to, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's Deion and Vick. I was going to say Jamal Anderson. Jamal was real big at the time, but he's not in the conversation when you talk about Vick and Deion. I think it comes down to those two guys. I don't think anybody would say Chris Chandler, anybody like that. I'm trying to think of a defensive player. A lot of guys have been Falcons favorites because like Jesse Tuggle and like Keith Brooken that played linebacker. They're from the state of Georgia, so they played football in Georgia. I think Jesse Tuggle played linebacker at Valdosta State. Keith Brooking played at Georgia Tech. So those guys were popular, but like if you had an autograph signing, all right, this is the best way I can put it. If you had an autograph signing and everything was relative and it was at the players, the top of their career, the height of their career, and you had a Mike Vick signing at the top of his career, the height of his career, you had a Jesse Tuggle signing, autograph signing, you had a Deion Sanders signing, I think it might flip-flop between Deion and Vick. I don't know. If you're from Atlanta, you got any thoughts about that? I want to hear them, man. Go to the chat room on Spreaker.com, 404-382-0338. You can also email me at Doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Ron Mexico coming home. Yeah. What are y'all thoughts about that? Like, if you're from Atlanta, post your thoughts in the chat room. Like, who do you think is the most popular player in Atlanta Falcon history? Off the top of my head, and I may be missing somebody, off the top of my head, I think the most popular players for the Atlanta Falcons in the team's history is Deion Sanders or Mike Vick. So what are your thoughts about that? Post it in the chat room. You can even give me a call at 404-382-0338. You can also email me at Doug@thedougstewartshow.com. We get back from the break, man. I want to get into these playoff scenarios in the NFL, but I'm also going to jump into the chat and get some of your thoughts on what I just talked about. Don't go away. This is the Doug Stewart Show.
The sleeper pick, the guy only you believe in. In 1 week fantasy football on DraftKings, he can be the difference. So trust your gut. Trust your numbers. Trust your Uncle Vito if you want. But know this, that sleeper is out there. The question is, who's going to play him? This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time.
To create your account, click on the banner link on thedougstewartshow.com or the Doug Stewart Show app. Do you have your own radio show? Are you an artist or a DJ? BB Mobile Apps is the solution for you. They specialize in creating mobile apps for entertainers. That's right. You can have your own mobile app where your followers can hear your shows or music, watch your videos, and view all your social networks in one place. You can even make money with banner ads and send push notifications directly to your audience to make sure they get your messages. Everyone has their phones on them, right? A mobile app will add credibility to your brand because your content will be accessible to them while they're on the go. BV Mobile Apps also makes apps for bloggers, actors, and producers. The process only takes about 20 minutes. Just go to bvmobileapps.com and click Get Started Now. That's bvmobileapps.com and tell them the Doug Stewart Show sent you. There's a storm coming. a firestorm. Get ready to raise your game because watching sports will never be the same. Introducing FireFan. It's a game changer.